Hey you guys, good evening. Hope you're doing well. So today I wanted to jump on here and talk to you about how the moms of defiant adult children can get through judgment, because they do face judgment from their peers, their family, etc., for what's going on in their child's life. So I want to share with you 3 tips on how to handle that situation. So for those of you that are new here, my name is Sally Harris, and I help desperate moms who have defiant or wayward adult children. I help the moms create a plan. I put a plan in place for them using different strategies and techniques to create peace and hope for the mom. So I help the mom regain their own life back. So I want to talk to you about these 3 tips, but before I do that, I want to ask you, as far as we're talking about judgment. So if you ask yourself and just be honest with yourself, and if you want to comment on below, and I'd be curious to see what people have to say about this, but if you were walking down the street or ran into someone, or when you see a homeless person and you see a drug addict or you see a prison inmate, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Is it compassion or is it judgment? And that's a hard question. I think a lot of us have immediate judgment. And the reason I believe that is because unless you've been through a situation such as some of the things I mentioned, whether that was you in your lifetime or that was your child, if you haven't been through it, it's hard to have empathy, right? Or if it has affected someone that you love. But at the end of the day, if you really think about it, do you have compassion, where you look at that person and you think, oh my gosh, what happened in their life that brought them to their knees like this? What happened in their life that has transformed them that much in a negative way? Or is it judgment, where you automatically think, well, they're a loser, like they're homeless, well, they have a choice, they should be going and go get a job, and they should do this and they should do that. So is it judgment or compassion? And so I ask you to think of that, how you feel when you see someone on the street. So 3 tips along those lines. Also before I do that, I wanted to mention, never say that this could never happen to someone that you love. Never say that any of those things could never happen to someone in your family or even your own child. Because situations happen, many are out of our control and many are. People still make choices, absolutely. But at the end of the day, just never say that it can't happen to you. So number 1 is, when you're facing judgment, number 1 is to not engage. And I know that's easier said than done. However, the judgment that someone has towards you says more about them than it does you. So whether it's your family, your friends, coworkers, whoever, if you feel that they are, whether you feel they are, or maybe they're actually making comments to your face and saying things, being judgmental about your situation with your child, I strongly encourage you to not engage. And always remember that, like I said, it has more to do with them than it does you. So number 2 kind of goes along the same lines, except know your own strengths and limitations. Because you will learn, when you're in different scenarios like that, when you should stand up for yourself and when it's just okay to just walk away. Over time, I think the more people that you have to deal with that are being judgmental, you learn to fight your battles, like when to fight them and which ones are worth fighting. And number 3 is to invest in yourself. It comes a time in life where sometimes I think moms don't even know themselves. I know I didn't know what my likes were. I didn't have any hobbies, all of these things, because I lived focusing on my children. And when you have a child go astray, it kind of takes over your whole world, right? And, by investing in yourself, it's just so important, because you're gaining your own life back. And like you've heard me say before, it's really important that you don't lose yourself so much in the process where you end up ill, because it happens all the time. you don't end up ill while your adult child gets their life together, and then there you are sick and you can't even enjoy them. So just remember, even when you feel like nothing's happening and everything looks so gloom and doom with your child, like, God is still working. He's still working behind the scenes, even though you can't see it, maybe you can't feel it, right? But he is, and he's never going to give up. So therefore, if he's not, why should you? So I strongly recommend, and that's what I do. For those of you that are familiar with me, I help moms who do that, who need this help. And so if you're not looking for one-on-one help, then I encourage you to find a group, because there's lots of groups out there that you could join to be with other moms who are going through similar things. You're not going to face the judgment in those groups. So when you do go out into the world, the workplace, family, whoever, other friends, if you feel judgment from them, you know you have your safe haven with that group or with me, right? And so that's one thing that my clients love the best, because it's someone who can actually empathize with what they're going through. And again, if you can't find a group, start one, because I promise you, you have neighbors and friends that are going through this silently. And for you, if you were to start something like that yourself, that would be amazing. I think more people would open up. Sometimes it takes time for people to actually feel comfortable enough to open up. So I wanted to mention a few things. I had taken a poll, asked, what type of judgment moms go through, and a couple answers were, there was one mom who their child is incarcerated, and she felt guilty about having more peace while they're locked up versus being on the street. Personally, I think that's very normal, very normal. And the other, which I see a lot too, is you've got moms who have children who are homeless. They're addicted to drugs, different drugs, alcohol, and they may be homeless living on the street in a tent city, but yet they're accepting that life as normal. When you and I could say, why don't they get it, right? Why don't they get it? Because, it just makes sense to us. It's rational sense to us that they should just want to call home, right? And maybe that day will come. But at the end of the day, you really need to, and absolutely, we shouldn't have guilt, but we do. Many moms do. And when you're able to work through that, it makes life so much easier. So I hope that helps. I will put a link below to a free discovery call. If you're interested, if you're a mom who needs help, I'd be happy to chat with you. Thank you and have a great evening.